What is going on, good people? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make those kind of luxurious, sort of chilled, sort of feel-good kind of trap beats. I've got a beat I've already made, so I'm going to dissect it on camera for you guys and show you exactly how to go about putting the chords together, the drums, and all the good stuff. So yeah, let's just dive straight into this one. Okay, good people, let's do this. Okay guys, so I've got this project loaded into FL Studio, and this is what that sounds like. Okay, you get the idea. It's got like real sort of chilled, bouncy, sort of feel-good vibe to it. First thing that you want to do if you're making beats like this is start off with the chord progression, and to be fair, this kind of rings true for any type of beat you're going to make in FL Studio. I used a plugin called Velvet. It's made by the same people that make Expand. So this is like the first chord progression that I started out with. Okay, it sounds really complex, but if you go off of a number code to get these kind of chords, to achieve this kind of sound, it makes things a ton easier. I have no music theory and it works for me every time. So the number code is 0, 3, 7, 11, 14. Okay, that's the number code. And basically what that means is that you start at a root note, which is 0, and every time you hit that note on this piano at the side here, then you draw in a note on those numbers. So just to make it really basic, my root note in this beat was F sharp. So all I did was count from 0, which is F sharp, 0, 1, 2, 3, that's my second note, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's my third note, 8, 9, 10, sorry it's 10, that's my fourth note, 11, 12, 13, 14, that's my fifth note. It's really simple. Once you've drawn those in, just preview it. Okay, it sounds good. Sometimes you may have to adjust some notes, so like if I were to draw in a note there by accident, doesn't sound right, so just make sure they're all in the right place. So that's the number code, and just apply that logic to the rest of the chords within the progression. One extra thing as well, if you want to have like a nice undertone to the melody, just sort of fill the low end out a little bit, I'd recommend dropping this root note down by 2 octaves. So if you notice right here, there's the F, okay, there's the B for that chord. You just drop them down 2 octaves, it gives it a really nice undertone. So instead of it sounding like this, it sounds like this. Just gives it a real nice sort of fuller type of feel to it. Next thing you want to do is start filling in some extra sounds and just sort of layering out that melody. So I've got my counter melody right here. Okay, it sounds really tinny and crap. Once you layer that on top of the original melody, it sounds a lot better. You see, that makes more sense now. Now, next thing you want to do is add in some counter melodies, some proper counter melodies. And with this, you don't have to do anything crazy, nothing over the top. All you want to do is add in some kind of string sound, some kind of pad, something that's just going to sound nice and sort of spacey in the background. And basically just draw in a few notes where you see fit. Use ghost channels. I'm probably going to stress this on every single tutorial, but I cannot stress the importance of ghost channels. It saves
so much time when you're doing counter melodies.
So you've got these ghost notes here, these faded notes. They're not going to play, but they're just there as a guide. And once you have those, then you can just start filling in keys where you see fit, and just make sure that they kind of overlap the keys that are actually within the the main chord progression. You can't go out of key. It's a really safe way to do it, and it just sounds right. Okay, so just do that. And honestly, that is like super basic, but it's just a really nice way of filling out the melody. And now once you have your counter melody, you can leave it there, or you can add in a few extra bits. For me, I added in a little guitar melody. And with these R&B type of beats, you want to have quite a lot of layers within the melody, because the drums will kind of sort of bring the rest of the beat out. So for me, I added in this sort of like guitar melody. The reason why I put this in is just to kind of fill out the rest of the melody, just to have something sat in the background, just going to give it some added texture. It's getting hot in here. Don't know why I'm wearing a coat in the house. Anyway, there's not much else that you want to put into the melody. So make sure you have your chords, make sure you kind of layer up that chord progression and just fill it out a little bit. Add your counter melodies and stick to the ghost notes from the original chord progression, and then just add some kind of sounds to fill out the rest of the melody. The next and last thing in terms of the melody was yeah, another counter melody. I feel like this is more complicated than I originally imagined. However, we're gonna do it. If you want to make some solid beats, some crazy melodies, then you have to do this stuff, people. The last thing that I added in as part of this melody was just like a little bell sound. Okay, and the trick to adding lots of counter melodies is that you just use the same keys as another counter melody. I literally just copied the string counter melody. So this melody right here, I literally just used that for the bells. But instead of going up an octave, I went down an octave. Really, really simple. Once you've got all of your elements, then you are good to go. So when you add all those layers back together, boom, we're done with the melody. That was the hard part. Once you've got that down, and again, it's going to take some trial and error, but once you've got that down, then you can move on to the drums. Now, sound selection is super important when it comes to the drums in these luxurious type beats, because you don't want those hard hitting, sharp kind of sounds. You want subtle sounds, but lots of them, okay? Subtle sounds, but lots of them. In terms of the structure and the way you go about doing it, really, really similar to any other beat. Start off with the main sounds like the clap, the hi-hats, the sounds that you want to have the most focus on. Start with them and then just start building around with little perks and little percussive sounds. So repetitive, but you just want something real basic, something that somebody can rap over without any problems, without having to change their flow up every time you introduce a new sound. Just keep it super simple. So they're like the main two sounds within the percussion. That's the part of the beat that I want the most focus on. Okay, so once you've got your sounds, then go ahead and start filling in the gaps. Nothing crazy complicated. The last thing we came in with was like, you know the snare. It's that Zaytoven snare. You don't want to overdo it too much. You just want to have your main sounds plus some percussive sounds, but not overdo it. Have them turned quite far down in the mix. Just have them kind of sit in the background. The last thing that we did in terms of drums was just a crash. That's the sound right there. Nothing too complicated. I'm going to say this about 1,000 times during this tutorial. The last thing that I'm going to go in with is the bass. And again, keep it simple. But yeah, so I started off with this 808 pattern, and just take a look. Just take a look at how simple that is. 2 notes. Doesn't matter if you're doing R&B beats or any other beat. Just stick to the root note of the chord progression. Okay, here is the 808 in context with the rest of the beat. Simples. Last thing is the kick. Keep it real nice and simple and you will be fine. Again, just repeated it every single bar. Didn't have to overcomplicate it at all. And then when you hear that in context with the rest of the beat, boom! And that is it, good people. That is how you make luxurious type beats. So just a quick recap. Number 1 is chord progression using the number code. If you don't know the number code, write it down now, pause the video. 0, 3, 7, 11, 14. Next thing is layer up the chord progression. If it is not thick enough, if it's not sounding full enough, add an extra sound, just copy and paste the notes over and maybe add some variation if you want to. Third thing, counter melodies. 2, maybe 3 counter melodies. If you are adding lots of counter melodies, just use a different sound but the same keys. Number 4, drums. Find 2 or 3 sounds that you want to be the main focus within the drums. Start with those, then start filling in perks, percussive sounds, open hats, and all that good stuff. Done. Last thing is the bass. Keep the bass repetitive, keep it simple, and just follow the root note of the chord progression. And that's it. You can add a kick if you want to. You don't have to add a kick. It just depends on the context of your beat. I hope this hasn't been way too sort of brain dumpy on you. I hope you can follow this. I hope this wasn't like too complicated. I just wanted to dive into everything that goes into these types of beats in as much detail as possible. If you enjoyed the video, if you found any value from it, make sure you do subscribe. That really does help the channel out a huge amount. Leave a like, leave a comment, do all the good stuff, and I will see you guys in the next one.